Alright, let's go ahead and get this started. So, you sure? Yep, it's live. Alright, cool. Hey, Bullet, how's it going? Alright, so this is going to be a shorter stream, again. But, because I'm sure that everyone's pretty much tired of hearing about the whole hashtag MeToo bullshit. Pretty much everyone with half of a fucking brain cell knows that the hashtag MeToo thing it's just a whole bunch of bullshit. A lot of these claims are either being dropped or have been proven to be false. Not saying all of them have, but we're also seeing another major effect of it, and it's women and it's men not wanting to hire women into companies. The reason why is because they're all like, if I hire these women in, then I could lose very capable male employees to either a stupid decision or a misunderstanding. So here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to explain the mindset of the people that hire. When they are looking to hire someone, they are looking for someone that is going to be of value to the company or business outright. So that means that if you are going to be causing issues consistently, that is a mark against you. And they're now seeing that women are becoming more of a hassle than they're worth in the workplace. And even the blue pills are sitting here and seeing this. They're like, yeah, no, those guys that we've been dissing constantly for calling out women, they might have a fucking point. And I absolutely love how in any of these fucking articles, you always hear of the most extreme of circumstances where, like, a guy actually just outright grabs a woman's tit or outright grabs her fucking ass. I absolutely love how they only mention that and then they say, and then all the others. You know, it's all like, yeah, what were all the others? Oh, a guy sitting there and complimenting a woman, you know, saying that she looks good in the clothes that she's wearing today, and she goes in and raises hell. You know, it's like, no, come the fuck on. Not all of these instances have been like these violent assaults or anything like that. In fact, a lot of them have either been misconstrued compliments or misunderstandings of what was fucking said, or women poking her fucking nose into a discussion that had nothing to fucking do with her, and she really had no business being in, period, end of story. When you have a business, you want to create a culture inside of that business. And part of that is your people need to be able to get along. They need to feel free to kind of be themselves a little bit. You know, it's just one of those scenarios. And they're sitting there and saying, "Oh, the difference in dynamics of power." But then whenever a female boss does it to guys, it's all like, well, historically, fuck you. No, you know what? I'm sick and tired of the double standard. Sick and tired of it. But, sorry, I went off on its own little fucking thing. But, when it comes down to the whole corporate environment, or business environment, it doesn't even have to be corporate. It can be a small mom and pop shop for all I fucking care. You want the people to, know each other and be able to work together because of that. So if you've got a person that's going to be coming in and has a very high chance of shattering that, making people kind of clam up, make people withdraw because they're afraid something bad might happen to them, and then it comes down to just strictly business and there's no interpersonal interaction other than what's absolutely required for the business to function on a basic level, Well, that's bad for the business. It's bad for the employees there. It's bad for the fucking customers. And that business is going to go down right quick and in a hurry. Because your morale is going to drop through the fucking floor. And another thing that they fucking ignore in these is female nature. Namely, the part of it called hypergamy. Women want guys that have more money and status. So the thing is these women are going to naturally sit there and look at the boss like, hey, yeah, I'll suck your dick, I'll ride your dick, and then they bitch and complain afterward, trying to get victim points and also take the guy for half of his fucking money, all that sort of fucking shit. You know, get him fired and then try to sit there and guilt the people into promoting them up above their time. This is another big fucking thing. It is a fucking tactic. And the thing is guys are recognizing this now. Even the blue pillars are seeing this. And so now you're seeing women being kind of looked at sideways in businesses. On the surface, they're hiring more women, but they're hiring them into less damaging positions. You know, it's one of those situations at this point now where businesses are just outright not wanting to hire women. But they can't do that because they have the anti-discrimination laws, which are completely one-sided. Because if a business wants to hire only women and staff only women, all of a sudden, they're immune. But if a business wants to hire only men, oh, well, we can't have that now, can we? A business can't be 100% efficient, can it? It's either got to have zero fucking efficiency, or it has to have maybe 50% efficiency because there's one person in there that could instantly end anyone's career with a few words. And they wonder why we can't compete with countries like China, countries like Japan. They wonder why our corporations can't compete. I wonder. And it's funny, as soon as Japan started kind of going down this same path, we're seeing the exact same trends. Their businesses are becoming less efficient. Their businesses are becoming less innovative. As they started hiring more women into positions. There were a bunch of businesses, last year I think it was, there were a bunch of businesses over there that were offered money to cover the cost of training and all that. They were offered bonuses by the government to hire women. Not a single fucking taker. They all said, fuck you. And the reason was because they didn't want the issues societally in their business. Because they are there to make money. They are there to be efficient. They will hire a woman if she seems sane. And she has the skill sets for the job. And she's shown that she has at least a similar work ethic to the men that they're hiring. But when it comes down to hypergamy, bosses need to watch out for that shit. Because the thing is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. If you do pick up on those advances and that sort of thing, and you do act on them, you know, you flirt or something like that, or you date, then all of a sudden you can be fired for impropriety. Or if the relationship goes poorly, she can sit there and level sexual harassment claims against you and all that, and again, fired for impropriety and possibly even get jail time and also be sued out the fucking ass. If you don't engage, then they sit there and say, oh, well, they're ignoring women and they're just being a sexist and a bigot, so they need to be fucking fired because that's improper. It is a literal damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I am so sick and tired of hearing about it. I know you guys are sick and tired of hearing about it. But I haven't heard anyone address this particular side of it. Maybe someone has, and I just haven't heard of it. Maybe I haven't seen a video on it or, seen an interview on it or anything like that. But it's literally getting to a point where it's getting dangerous for businesses to even hire women in the fucking first place. And then the fact that the reverse situation isn't being fucking addressed in any way, shape, or form, or is even worse, being dismissed outright as retaliation. It's all like, no, it's just observation. You're bitching and complaining about this going one way, but when it goes the other way, then you sit there and say that it's perfectly fine because reasons. And Bullet, I've actually known a couple of guys that will act that way. That where they'll touch a woman without her permission. But the thing is those guys are now in prison. But when it comes down to businesses and hiring women, I really don't think it's a good idea. I was never one for the idea of any type of segregation whatsoever. But now that I'm seeing how badly this little experiment is failing as far as women being mixed in the workplace in male-centric jobs, I'm starting to see the value in the segregation there. Because no matter how you look at it, it's a bad situation that's arising. And it sucks. It really fucking sucks. I wish we didn't have these fucking societal issues, but it's just one of those things that is going to fucking be there. There's always going to be differentials in power dynamics. It just depends on who is in power. Hey, Neo, how's it going? And the thing is because of our society and our, I guess I'll call it acceptance of double standards, because that's basically what's been going on. These power dynamics aren't being equally addressed. If you want to talk power dynamics, we can talk power dynamics. But if we're going to talk power dynamics, I'm going to do my typical thing. I'm going to address it both fucking ways. And I'm going to hold a single fucking standard. There's no, oh, well, historically. Because if you want to go down the, well, historically shit, watch my previous fucking videos. Watch where I've talked about how men have been treated historically. And how men are currently being treated today. It's funny, the treatment of men has been going downhill for centuries. Yet women have always been held on a fucking pedestal. Always been given special privileges. Not things that are earned, but things that are just ordained to them because they were born with a fucking pussy. And the one time, which is right now, the backlash to the hashtag MeToo bullshit, the one time that women actually get smacked down for being fucking cunts, they're bitching and complaining and saying that the solution to it is to hire more women in. Even though women are the ones that have been... just their very presence is an issue. They always want to blame it on men. Here's the thing. If women weren't going into these fucking fields, if women weren't succumbing to that hypergamy, we wouldn't have these issues, especially not in the numbers that we're fucking seeing. I have seen so many women in jobs that I've had in the past that sat there and flirted with the bosses, like outright flirted with the bosses. I mean, hell, if they were to go any fucking farther, they would have been whipping their tits out in front of the boss. All right? And they were doing that out on the sales floor. Yet apparently there's no issue with that. But if the boss reciprocates, then there's a fucking problem. No one is addressing hypergamy as part of this issue, and I want to know why. Come on, fellow MGTOW creators. Address it. This is wide out in the fucking open. I've been waiting for someone else to address it. Because as soon as I say hypergamy, I know that there's some people that will just close off their fucking ears. But apparently I'm the one who has to fucking say it. That is part of the problem that we are seeing with the hashtag MeToo argument. Is that hypergamy is not being addressed. It's not even being addressed by MGTOWs who are covering this shit. Come on, guys. And like I've said before, I'm not a radical MGTOW. I'm a moderate MGTOW. I would expect the radical MGTOWs to be all over this. Well, actually, Neo, it's not old news. It's still rearing its ugly head now. It keeps getting this resurgence that comes up, and it's like, oh my God! I've been hearing about this constantly for the last few months, pretty much. You know, both the build up and the actual thing, and now the aftermath is now the focus of it. But no one wants to address the reason why the aftermath is a fucking thing. Everyone's just saying, oh, it's a backlash. Yeah, no fucking shit. Women come into male workspaces and then want everything to fucking change because now they're present. Fuck that. The thing is if I owned a business right now, and if I was going to hire women, which I wouldn't, I'd rather take the fucking hits from the whole, you haven't met your diversity quota. Because I'm sure that my business would be able to produce more money than what they're going to hit me with there. And it would be well worth it because my business would now be making more money from the increased efficiency. But I would sit there, if I was to hire a woman in, I'd go ahead and hire some fucking actors and have her going in and doing the fucking job for a month or so. Not actually necessarily doing the fucking job, but just see how she interacts. And I would go ahead and have those actors put out different situations. See how much squeaking that wheel's gonna fucking do. How much oil that wheel would take. That would be the extent that I would have to go to make sure that the woman that I hired isn't going to come in and nuke my company from the ground up. And it's funny, they're sitting there saying, well, the reason why it's such a problem is because of the power dynamic. And then in one of the articles that I just fucking read, there wasn't even a power dynamic. Both of the people were fucking interns. And they mention it in passing just so they can throw it onto the fucking pile. And then they try to move on quickly. No. Not with me. I see that shit and I'm like, wait a minute, how does that fit in with your argument? How does that fit in with the power dynamic? It doesn't. And then they're trying to say that men in these positions of power have so little self-esteem that they can't conceive that the woman subordinate would feel pressured into anything. It's like, all right, well, if these men that are in these positions of power have this low self-esteem, you have to ask yourself, why? Maybe because of the fact that they don't feel secure in their fucking job because of shit like hashtag MeToo? Because they're forced to hire walking demolition devices into their fucking business? While having a gun held to their fucking head by the government? I say get the government out of business at this point. Fuck it. Just let it ride. That's what I'm going to say. Just get rid of any and all regulation on business. Government has no say in business anymore. Let's go ahead and do that. Because the thing is if we were to go ahead and do that, Jesus fucking Christ, at least we would get something done. Governments should have absolutely no say, at the very minimum. Governments should have absolutely no say in who you hire or who you don't hire. The government should not have a say in that, period. End of fucking story. I believe in freedom of association. If someone wants to hire only men, let them. If someone wants to hire only women, let them. If someone wants to hire only whites, let them. Someone wants to hire only blacks, let them. It doesn't fucking matter. It is their fucking choice. And if they're hiring based off of those credentials, their business is going to go under right quick and in a hurry anyway. Because they're not hiring based off of skill. Yeah, I agree with you, Neo. I really do expect the government stronghold bullshit to fucking happen. I fully expect it to happen. I mean, we're starting to see it. I mean, the government's starting to get its fingers into literally everything. Hell, the government's starting to get its fingers into fucking video gaming, for Christ's sake. It's ridiculous. And then we got shit like the fucking UN that's trying to come in and micromanage everyone in the world's lives, quite literally. Jesus Christ. Honestly, I would love to see the US pull out of the UN. I would love to see the absolute chaos that would ensue from that. I would love to see all the other countries panic. Because you know that all these other countries would panic as soon as they saw the US pull out of the UN. They'd be like, uh-oh. We're fucked. Because if the U.S. isn't part of the UN, then guess what? The U.S. is going to be pulling out of shit like the Geneva Convention. They're going to be pulling out of everything. But honestly, if I could move out of the U.S. at this point, I would. I would move to a country that might have a few less overt freedoms, but I would go ahead and move to a country that has more of the implicit freedoms. Because right now in the U.S., our freedoms are all but gone. Honestly, land of the free needs to be fucking taken out of our vocabulary. Because that is not even a slight descriptor of the U.S. at this point anymore. The U.S. has gotten really fucking bad. And I'm not saying that there aren't worse countries out there. I'm not. There are worse countries out there. But the thing is those worse countries are kicking our teeth in. And Bullet brings up a good point. Until these governments get it through their thick skulls that no one of any level of importance, of any level of actual importance, wants feminism involved in government or any decision making whatsoever, until these governments get it through their thick skulls It's just going to get worse. I mean, so few women actually sit there and identify as feminists, and so few women agree with feminists, and there's so many women that are against feminism because they see the damage that feminism is doing. They're seeing it on the ground fucking level. And that comes again into female nature. Women, just like any other humans, but you know, it's just one of those things where women tend to kind of have this. They're interested in their own self-interest. Feminism is going against women's self-interest at this point. It is actively causing issues for women. It is keeping them from being able to pursue relationships that they would have otherwise pursued. It's keeping women from pursuing relationships in general. It's making women constantly afraid. It's causing so much fucking damage to women at this point. Even if they aren't associated with it, even if they are absolutely against feminism, because if they're against feminism, then feminists attack them and purposely make their lives fucking miserable. I've seen it happen here, where I am, where feminism doesn't really have a major stronghold. Yes, I live in California, but the thing is in the area that I live in, feminism is laughed at. Openly. When one of the few feminists around here opens their fucking gob, people just point and laugh and are able to absolutely demolish every one of the arguments that they bring forward. And around here, we are not afraid to make a feminist ball. We have absolutely no problems hurting your fucking feelings. Just part of what's around here. We still have that small town mentality even though we are a city, which is very fucking rare. But the thing is at this point, I really don't foresee this ending well for any of these countries that are letting feminism rule the roost. They are literally letting a very small minority control the majority, or at least attempt to. But here's the thing. I'm going to call this right now. Within the next 10 years, we're going to start seeing the rise of underground brothels. We're going to start seeing the rise of the girlfriend experience escort. We are going to start seeing a rise in all of these things that feminism absolutely fucking hates. How's it going, love? We're going to start seeing basically underground marriages happen. We're going to start seeing underground relationships happen. On the surface, it's going to look like no one gets along with anyone, but we're going to start seeing this natural segregation that is going to happen as a result of feminism. And the undertone of society is going to tell the full story. Just take a look at what's going on. There are people out there that refuse to use the title because they're afraid of the implications of it, but they're living like it anyway. And I'm not talking about cohabitation. I'm talking about, people, not flirting with other people, but they're not committed to anyone, and so people wonder what the fuck is going on. Because they're actually with someone, but they're not doing the title because then they become walking targets. Especially in cities like LA and all that. You're starting to see this. And if that doesn't happen, then we're going to end up going to this idea that relationships between people are just another distraction on the way to the grave. And that's when you're going to start seeing societies die. Because as soon as you start seeing it that way, that's when your society won't meet the replacement values that are needed. You're going to end up in a situation like with Japan. You're going to see further growth of movements like MGTOW. I still haven't looked into WGTOW. I still don't even know what the fuck that's about. But just the way that it seems and the timing of it, I don't fully trust it. But I need to look more into it. I have been lazy on that, and I do apologize. But we're also going to see kind of this societal backlash against feminism. You can see the tension building. And that backlash is going to be absolutely fantastic to see. It's going to be glorious. Because the thing is, as more and more men dip out of the system, and women are left with less and less actual men, you're going to start seeing women actively start getting violent against feminists. Because we've seen this over and over and over again. Women do not deal well with sustained societal pressure. And right now, women are feeling it even more than men. Men are getting the societal punishment, yes, but women are getting the societal pressure from these feminists. And I think that it's funny that, feminism is the driving force behind the hashtag MeToo, while feminism's also the one that's sitting there and saying that sex is absolutely meaningless, it has no intrinsic value, and that women should just go out and give it away anytime they fucking want. They should have sex anytime they want and all that sort of thing. They should have sex with anything and everyone. But these very same feminists are now sitting here and saying, oh, well, you're not allowed to date your boss. It's like, wait, what? What if they find power and authority hot as fuck? What if it makes them leave a fucking snail trail? Now you're sitting there and being a moral busybody and telling them that they're allowed to sleep with anyone except for the people that they want to sleep with. And then don't even get me started on the whole male feminist bullshit that's been going on, where almost all these male feminists, that, or at least the prominent ones, it's coming out that, they're woman abusers, they're rapists, they're pedophiles, they're all this sort of shit. Where it's all like these very same quote-unquote guys are sitting here and dogging on guys that actually display some sort of alpha aspect to them. That have good looks, that take care of their bodies, that have the confidence needed to go into relationships. And at this point, you need a fucking chip on your shoulder to go into relationships and think, even for a second, that it's going to end well for you. But I think that it's absolutely funny that even feminists are now sitting here and looking and going, yeah, no, male feminists are the worst of the worst. It's like, yeah, no shit. But they stop there. They don't take it to its fullest conclusion. It's all like, remember, these guys are supporting what you're doing. Why in the hell would these guys support what you're doing if they are the worst of the worst? Unless you are enabling them to continue doing this shit. In any endeavor, you have to take a look at who is backing you. If you look behind you and every person that you look at that's behind you, that's backing you up, if you absolutely hate every last one of their guts, maybe you need to reassess your fucking position. Maybe you need to ask yourself what the fuck you're doing to surround yourself with people that you despise from the ground up. Me, luckily, I don't have that problem. There are plenty of guys in MGTOW that I would stand beside on a battlefield. Willingly and proudly. But you can't see that same camaraderie in feminism. You don't see that same camaraderie in Black Lives Matter. Or in any social justice movement, period. The vast majority of these people hate each other's guts. And why is that? Because social justice itself, I believe, should have its definition changed. Social justice should have its definition changed to the largest gathering in human history of the worst examples of humanity. Social justice should have its definition changed to anything but this. Social justice, when I sit there and I say it's a cancer, I actually mean it. It is a societal cancer. It acts just like cancer. It grows unchecked. The rest of the body fights against it. But in fighting against it, it also promotes its growth. Very difficult to cure. Very difficult to get rid of. But very easy to have it affect you. Quite frankly, I think social justice is a result of the breakdown of our morals in Western society. Because if we still had our morals, we wouldn't have any tolerance whatsoever for the level of intolerance that is being brought on by social justice. And it really saddens me that we've gotten to this state. I absolutely wish that we could rewind time, go back, and put a stop to this before it even started. But when we go ahead and we see this happening in our society, we have to do something about it. Actively go out of your way to discredit these people. Using facts, using logic. Hell, use their own rules against them. When you see that their argument can only stand when there are gaps, fill in the gaps. Let their argument collapse in on itself. Hey, how's it going, Turbattle? But when you see this happening in your area, don't be afraid to speak up. Because the thing is yeah, when you speak up, you're going to have people trying to shout you down. Don't let them. Continue to use your voice. You're going to have people threatening you. Just remember, that's all they have is threats. And if someone actually gives a credible threat, report them. Don't sit there and send threats to these people. Don't sit there and go out and use violence against them. The only time you should ever use violence is in self-defense. So if someone's physically attacking you, then yes, defend yourself. But leave it at that. But never be afraid to use your voice, because that is how they win. Social justice at this point, is acting just like terrorists. They're using fear, violence, threats of violence, censorship, and they attack your livelihood to try to keep you silent. Because that's the only way that they can win, is if you stay silent. And I'm not the one who declared war. They are. They have actually outright said that this is a war. And I agree with you, Neo. That is the worst part of the future of America. Because the thing is as we go ahead and get away from the family unit, as we get farther away from it, as it becomes less and less common, we're going to start seeing rises in crime rates. We're going to see higher incarceration rates. We're going to see higher percentage of instances of mental illness, which is already too fucking high in this country. Hell, just in Western society in general. We're going to see more segregation. We're going to see more of all the most negative aspects of society. We're going to see those grow. And the positive aspects of society, such as selfless giving, charity work, or even innovation for innovation's sake. We're going to start seeing those things slowly erode away. And we are going to slowly grind to a halt. And unfortunately with humanity, we've seen time and time and time again, once a society grinds to a halt, it stagnates and it dies. So this is a very, very serious problem. And that's very true, Terror Battle. They want to wage war on men, but they fear men's retaliation. That's very, very true. And in fact, they're seeing a small, pimp-hand backslap coming from men. And all of a sudden, now they're crying foul. It's all like, no, you're sitting here, you've come out and shown that you have absolutely no issues throwing men under the bus. You have no issues with ruining innocent men's lives in your little fucking witch hunt, in your bid for power. And have no doubt that's what this is. This is a bid for power from these feminists. And they're not bidding for power for women, they're bidding for power for themselves. That's all this is. It's a power play. And once people learn to recognize this, we'll be much better off for it. But as long as there are still these fucking idiots out there that think that feminism is trying to do some greater good, that they're being selfless, as long as we have that thought going on in our society, we're not going to get anywhere. We're just going to be driven toward destruction. We're seeing it in our birth rates. We're seeing it in our incarceration rates. We're seeing it in violent crimes. We're seeing it in the mass importing of externals into our culture. Quite frankly, I would absolutely love to have an absolute travel ban for the U.S. No one in, no one out. So that way it would force us to address our own issues. And we either address the issues or we die out. Because the U.S. has shown that when the going gets tough, when the chips are down, we will address the issues in any way that we need to. And I think that would be the only way to get feminism out, at least here in the US. In other countries, they would probably just let themselves die. Like the UK, I guarantee you they would just let themselves die out. Because it's part of their culture. Their culture is so afraid of being considered intolerant that they would literally let themselves die out than be considered intolerant. Same thing with Sweden. Same thing with France. I think Italy might survive, although it would take a massive fucking hit. But this is literally the only way at this point, is to literally let it burn itself through. The anarchist? Oh, the Antichrist. Oh, sorry, I misread that. The Antichrist? I don't know. But all I do know is that what we are seeing now was an inevitability. As soon as feminism started, as soon as feminism was birthed, this was an inevitability. Because the thing is with movements like feminism, with movements like social justice, they never get the negative attention that they need. They never get the negative attention that they deserve until they've already caused their damage. And I think that this is a big problem with Western civilization. Western civilization is reactive, not proactive. Oh, I'm glad you figured it out, Grilla. But, I mean, at this point, what we really need is for there to be basically several generations worth of politicians that are completely and totally anti social justice. Like anything that the social justice morons want, anything that they espouse to want, go ahead and do the exact opposite. So if they're saying they want more women hired in and they want quotas for more women hired in, then the government should mandate that there should be less women hired in and that there should be a maximum amount of women that can work at any company. If they're saying that they want it to be easier to get convictions for rape or sexual assault or anything like that, then they should pass laws to make it more difficult to get those convictions. Because the thing is right now, social justice is the antithesis of the direction that we should be heading in. Everything that they espouse is taking us backward. And I mean 180 degrees backward. I would absolutely love to see some politicians doing that shit, even if it was just on state levels. Like if one of our US states was to start doing that, I would move there. Readily and gladly. And with a damn large grin on my face. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream here. It actually went on a little bit longer than I was expecting it to. But thank you all for coming and seeing the live stream. Always appreciate it. If you like the live stream, if you're watching now or you're watching after, please go ahead, hit the like button. Because I'm trying to go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and try to grow the channel. I'm gonna start putting out more content and that sort of thing. I know I've been kind of gone for a while, but I've had a lot going on in my life, and I just kind of had that little bit of a burnout phase because of the holiday season, but I think I'm recovering from it, so should be good to go. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for the support as always, and I'll talk to you all later. Have a nice day.